Hello and welcome to Best of the Worst Volume 1, or Beer and Loafing in Wisconsin. Scene 1, Media Hysteria. A wicked Wisconsin wind rattles the bones of Red Letter Media HQ, a dilapidated industrial unit in America's kidney land. Fighting the wintry onslaught, a garish neon sign hangs from its side, shuddering violently, blinking desperately. It promises lightning-fast VCR repair. Besides that one oasis of light, it is a squat, banal building, its bowels set to burst with a collection of the world's most criminal cinematic endeavours. The wind picks up, strong enough to send dumpsters full of VHS tapes skittering across the frozen car park, only to hit the curb, discharging their shiny onyx contents into the snow. Peering through a rime-stained window from within, a cherubic face gleams with wonder at the chaos wrought without. "Hell of a night!" exclaimed Rich, to no one in particular. Looking around at his companions in the office, the same optimistic grin still on his face, he waits patiently. With no response forthcoming, Rich tried again. "Hell of a night out there, guys." Silence, broken only by the lethargic clicking of mouse buttons and the tinny rendition of the Halloween soundtrack coming from Jay's headphones. Once again, slightly quieter. "A hell of a night?" Brutish hands slam down on a desktop, dislodging an ancient collection of beer bottles that clink and roll to the floor. "Rich!" roared Mike, his eyes engorged with rage. "Red Letter Media is not a world of wonder. It is a content sweatshop powered by misery and friggin'..." Mike's gaze swings wildly about the workspace, seizing upon an errant bottle. "Friggin' designer ales!" Fumbling for the bottle, he flings it inexpertly at Rich, who throws himself aside at the last second, taking cover in a pile of gremlin body parts. The bottle smashed into the wall just above Jay's desk, splashing beer onto his limited edition, high-quality statuette of Monique Gabrielle. With a slow, deliberate turn in his hot pink gamer chair, Jay's pitch-black eyes found Mike. "Please, it's hard enough to concentrate on editing this hour-long video of us brutally sniping at..." His eyes glaze over and then slide to the monitor. Then, with trepidation, "ROBOWOMAN?" Mike involuntarily shuddered at the memory. In a desperate attempt to rid himself of it, he recalled a greater artistic transgression. At least it was better than the jar, and immediately regretted it as he went cross-eyed in disgust. Rich clumsily extricated himself from the pile of gremlin limbs, still holding a gremlin's head, which he considered thoughtfully. Neither movie could hold a candle to Twin Dragon Encounter. Silence and hateful stares accompanied the remark. "I don't want to think about the McNamara brothers any more," said Jay with feeling. "Enough," bellowed Mike. "We have to destroy these movies before I can go home and find the sweet embrace of oblivion." "But Mike," exclaimed Jay, arms wide, "you sleep whenever. You're sleeping right now." Mike opened his eyes, shook drool from his lip, and looked at Jay. Then, with deadpan honesty, said, "Sleep was not the kind of oblivion I was referring to." Somewhere in the office, the sound of a long descending note on a slide whistle was heard. "What keeps making that noise?" asked Jay. "I told you it's rats," Rich reminded him. "Do rats make that noise?" Mike listened to the inane back and forth, his face getting redder and redder. Then he leapt up and stormed around the office, sliding over beer bottles and dismembered mannequins. He started to gather up the night's videotapes. "You two fucking assholes," he told them as he snatched ROBOWOMAN from atop a VHS tape Jenga pile. "Need to understand how important it is," he fumbles the jar tape out of a jar. "Watching and destroying these horrific movies is..." He frantically looks around for Twin Dragon Encounter, only to see it being offered in Rich's outstretched hands. "It's about the legacy of Red Letter Media as..." He whips Twin Dragon Encounter out of Rich's hand. "As curators for the ages, custodians to a golden age of naff innocence." Then, wild-eyed and panting, he stands there, clutching the tapes to his chest, like malignant infants whose birth he had been forced to witness. Rich and Jay look on, waiting for the inevitable collapse. But it doesn't come. "We know, Mike," Rich explains, nodding and smiling, but then his face formed an expression of the purest curiosity. But if we're curators, why do we destroy the tapes? Because you have to have a bit, bellowed Mike, his face getting redder again, even more so. A gimmick, a grift, a wheeze. Jay nodded along, black on black eyes intense as he internalized the wisdom. Rich looked on in uncomprehending innocence as Mike lumbered toward him, thrusting the tapes into his grasp. "And you know who for, don't you?" shrieked Mike, finger waving in the air. Jay continued nodding. Rich shrugged as best he could with an armful of redundant media. "Them," cursed Mike as he swung an accusing finger at his monitor. Rich peered over. The Windows pipe screensaver? "No!" Mike thrashed at the mouse till the screensaver gave way to the YouTube underneath and repointed at the view count. "The witnesses," he hissed, recoiling. "They never stop watching." He spun away from the monitor. "Rich!" Rich slumped to attention. "Take the tapes to the Humvee. Get the cameras too, and lights, lots of lights. This has to be the most creative, ostentatious tape destruction ever." Crashing into desks, he whirled away and disappeared deep into RLM HQ. Cries of, "The witnesses!" and "Watching! Always watching!" echoed through the cavernous space. "Wow," said Jay. "He's a genius whack job we need, but not the one we deserve." Mike's screams from deep within the unit intensified, while simultaneously losing coherence. Rich sighed. "All that racket is sure to wake Mr. Plinkett."
Transmission will start in 5 seconds from now. 5, 4, 3, 2,